Hey everybody, Sean Holsinger here from HolsingersFlyShop.com. Today I'm going to bring a fly I tied to go up to New York steelhead fishing and salmon fishing. Ended up catching a lot of steelhead on it, and that's why I want to show it to you today. It worked real well for me. Doing things a little bit different today. I'm going to show you all the materials used to tie this, and then I'm going to zoom in and just going to sit down and tie this straight through for you. First thing we're going to start out with is the hook. I'm just using, this is just a regular old octopus style hook, a circle hook, size 2. Pick it up at any bait store or your Walmart, whatever, wherever you can find a circle hook. Size 2. I like it for when I'm up there fishing for the salmon and stuff. I like the nice wide hook gap. Next thing we're going to use is some Arctic fox fur. I'm going to use it in 3 colors. I'm going to use white, yellow, and brown to create the colors of the minnow here. I'm going to use a little bit of crystal Flashaboo. I'm just going to use one or two strands of green just to give the lateral line look on this fly. And lastly, but also some crystal flash. And we're also going to put eyes on this fly. What we're going to use here is fish eyes, the living eyes in the wind color. They just happened to pick that color. They come in a few different colors. That's just the one I picked for the fly, and it seemed to work real well. The other thing we're going to use is our Loon UV glue and our light, of course, to set the glue. But I use this in a lot of my videos. I really like how it works. It's a little bit expensive. It's a little bit pricey, yes, but the results you get from it are well worth it. I'm going to sit down and tie this fly for you here now, and I hope you enjoy it. Okay, my foxtail streamers are fairly simple fly to tie. Couple things you might not have, like the UV glue, makes it a lot easier. One you might not have is yellow floss. Just use yellow thread here. I tie some salmon flies and stuff like that, so I have some floss. I like to use it, just a little bit shinier. All we're doing is just laying down a nice body here, nice color. I tried a couple different colors when I was up here. When I was up fishing, it didn't really seem to make a difference. I guess probably more than anything, I had more yellow ones, and I did fine with yellow, so we're just going to show it in yellow. But I tried red, I tried green. It didn't really matter. They really seemed to like this fly. I did really, really well with the steelhead up here. I actually was watching, the water was pretty clear. We didn't do as well as we normally do for that reason. The water was clear. But I was actually seeing steelhead go 3 to 4 feet to chase this fly down. I was real successful with this fly, and I really liked it a lot. That's why I'm showing it to you today. And we're just going to lay that floss on there just to cover the hook, just to give it a different color than the hook. Then we're going to come in with some black thread, and this is how we're going to complete the fly. Going to build up the head with this and put the wing on here. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my foxtail. I'm going to take out a clump of white, okay? Just a pretty decent sized clump of white, not too thick, but not too much. But you want it pretty decent. It's going to be the largest clump of the feathers, or of the fly. Yeah, the hair on here. We're going to try to get as much of this underdubbing out of it as possible, because you want to thin it down. You don't want it too thick. You want it to, flow through the water real nice. And then once we get that underdubbing out of it, we're going to lay it on top. We're going to go about a shank's length behind the fly. That's about the distance we want. And what we're going to do is I'm going to take my string, if I can show it here, I'm going to pinch it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a wrap right around the fur. You can see there I made one wrap around the fur and pull it kind of tight, and then I'm going to place that, and I'm going to pull it down right on top, right where I want it. By making that one wrap around there, it's going to help hold it in place better on top of the hook. You see I have it on top of the hook here, and that's right where I want it. That's how I want it to be, just laying over the hook, just like that. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take and trim these ends off, and I'm going to trim them at an angle so they lay down. And when I wrap my head down here, it's going to make a nice taper down towards the eye. And one thing about this fly is we're going to put eyes on it at the end. So I want to have lots and lots of room for these big eyes that I'm putting on here. The eyes that I'm putting on are 7mm eyes, so they're actually kind of big. So I'm going to wrap back here just a little bit to give more room for that. So whenever I finish this off, my eyes won't be up over covering the hook eye, and I'll have room to glue that in and not cover the eye of my hook. Next thing I'm going to do is come in with some yellow. Actually, I'm going to put some Flashaboo down now, since, like I said here a second ago, my white, it's the dominant color on this fly. It's going to be thicker than the other ones. So after this, my yellow and my brown is even going to be thinner than the yellow that I put on here. But I want to add a little bit of flash in the middle of this fly. So I'm just going to take some rainbow crystal flash, put it on here, lay it over top of that white. I don't want it any further than the length of those guard hairs there. I don't want it to be further than the rest of it. I'm just going to make a couple wraps here. Keep it on top. I'm going to fold it over and come back and wrap it down. Okay, now like I said, I'm going to trim this off, and I don't want it to be longer. I don't want my flash to be longer than my fly, so I'll just trim them in there. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put the yellow on here. And I'm trying to keep this nice and clean. I got one straggler here I don't like. I'm going to trim it off. Okay, trying to keep this head here nice and clean so it's easier to build the eyes up and stuff later. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to come in with a clump of yellow. We're going to go about half as much as we did with the white. Again, we're going to pull out that underdubbing. We're going to lay this down on top, and I want it just a hair shorter than my white. We're going to do the same thing with it. We're going to go around one time with the hair, get it tight, and we're going to lay it down on top. Like I said, it'll help keep it nice and together and centered whenever we wrap it down tighter on top. Okay, then we're going to, again, cut this off and trim this down. Wrap this down, keep building our head up nice and neat here. Okay, you see we added our next color. Okay, now the last color we want to come in with is brown, just to give a darker color for the back. And again, just a little bit shorter than the last color, than the yellow. I'll lay that on top here. I'm going to tie this down. Making sure we keep it centered on the top. Get this trimmed off. Okay, now we're going to clean up our head. Get this all covered here with the black thread. Got one more step here before we're going to put our eyes on. But I want to get this nice clean head here. There you go. Now you see I'm building that up pretty big, which is great because I'm going to stick my eyes on it here a second, and it's going to give me lots to adhere to. But before that, I want to put a lateral line on this fish, and I showed you here at the beginning one of the materials I'm using is Flashaboo. I prefer green on this for some reason. I just like a nice lateral line. And what I'll do is I'll take a piece of green Flashabou, just fold it in two, and I'm going to lay it right down the side of this fish. And I want it to be the length of, the length of the body. Don't want it to be longer than the body. Oops. I'm just going to pinch this down on here. Come in and tie this down. And I'm going to try to keep these two together here best as I can. There, I like them close, just like that. Then I'll take the other side. I'm just going to fold it around the back side here. Stick it on there where I want it, so it goes right down the middle of the side, just like on the other side. And then we'll wrap it down nice and tight. Get a nice finish on this head. Okay, trim that to length. Okay, you can see there it makes a nice little lateral line effect to the fly. You can see when I went with that yellow floss, it's not real important. It doesn't show up real well. But when this takes on water and soaks up, this is all going to come together like this. You can see how the fly looks. You get a nice color to it. It really goes the layered color like a natural fish. Really pretty fly when it goes through the water. I think that's a lot of the reason why it's so successful. It's really actually a pretty natural looking bait fish pattern here. So I'm just going to finish off this head, wrap it up. I want to, like I said, I want to build some body to give my eyes something to adhere to here. And then I'm just going to whip finish this off. Once I get it built up to where I want it, we're just going to whip finish it off. Okay, we'll put another one on there. Okay, now here comes the, I don't know, maybe the trickiest part of the fly, I guess. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add my eyes to it. Like I said here a second ago, these are 7mm. They're from fish skulls. They're living eyes. The color is wind. I really like the looks of these. Yes, these are a little bit big for the fly, but I think that makes it part of the attractiveness to the fish. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use my UV clear fly finish from Loon Outdoors. You see my bottle, it's all beat up. I use a ton of this stuff. Very simply, there's an adhesive back on the back of these fish eyes, but it doesn't really adhere real well. So I'm just going to dab, try not to get it on your fly. Just going to dab some on the side of the eye there, and then I'm going to, on the side of the head, I mean. Then we're going to place the eye in the glue, and I want to slide it back out of the way of the eye. You'll see here in a second when I remove my finger. And then I'm going to hit it with the light to tack it into place. Okay. You can see how I kept my eye behind the eye of the hook, and just put it on there. Glued it, tacked it into place for a second. I'm going to do that on the other side. Here again, just a dab on there, enough to hold it into place, and that'll actually like smear behind it that the glue will adhere to both the fly and the eye. Okay, we're gonna keep the eyes even. Hold that in place there. You can, just only takes a second for this to cure. Okay, once we got the eyes set in place like this, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our fly finish and we're going to build a head out of this UV glue. And I'm just going to put some in the top here. Not too much that it gets down in the eye of your hook. And to combat that, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to glue the top down first and hit that in place. If you go over the eye, that's fine. It'll actually strengthen the eye. I'm going to swing it upside down here, and I'm going to hit the bottom side. Get the glue in between those two eyes, and I'm going to, now that it's secure in place here and out of the way of my hook eye, I'm going to complete this by going over top of the eyes to lock them into place. And then hit this with my light to cure the glue again. And that is all that is to this very nice streamer pattern that was a killer pattern for me up in New York. Like I said, I was totally shocked that I had steelhead swimming 3 and 4 feet to catch this fly, and you could see their mouths open and wide and just inhaling the fly. Worked real well for me up on 18 Mile Creek. I'm going to have a video coming out shortly on that fishing trip. I hope you enjoy watching that, and I hope you enjoyed watching this show and all the videos that I do here for HolsingersFlyShop.com. Remember, the materials needed to tie this fly and many other flies we have available at our website, HolsingersFlyShop.com. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like us on Facebook, and we even now got onto Instagram, so you can see a lot of my fly patterns there. Thanks again for watching. I'm Sean Holsinger.